medical home healthcare yêu khó chừng chế tụi nương lo rõ có tụt chân tụi dễ nhớ đồ tàu va tàu chế của chỉ tàu no chỉ tàu hậu là thiết là cô ba kia tiền tàu tới có tiền là chỗ có là cô thể hiện dùng chỗ có yêu có sản phẩm chắc còn gì hù đồ tụi sản tông được trâu chi y gì chi chi gì chua chi gì GBP Senior Care Center giờ này phải bảo lúc chế sẽ cho nên một cái nhiều xe nhân đồ lúc sinh Minnesota lúc ban đầu giờ program giờ ba chỗ có chỉ xong một cái nhiều xe lúc một chế độต่อก็thiết thâu có đặc một chế lúc giờ ba có xe có tiền đông đỡ thiết cho có một gì có đồ cử không mò giờ có sáu tổ cộng đó là lúc giờ ba kia tiền đông đỡ có tiền là chỗ có giờ có sáu bao giờ để phải bảo lúc chế sẽ cho nên một cái nhiều xe nhân đồ lúc sinh Minnesota có dùng channel chỉ có một xe là website trong đó www.gbpscc.com แล้วย่อฮู้เราสอบตรงนั้นเราการเนาะเจ้า GE เปล่ายีเปแล้วย่อละตัวเสร็จพงเจ้า GE 下จั่วอ GE 下ส่วน
understood and considered in the work of the House and the Senate. And it's important to be here. Thank you for coming. It's my privilege to serve on the board of the Council of Asian Pacific Minnesotans. I am one of the 4 legislators from both the House and the Senate to serve on the board, along with 11 citizen board members. The Council on Asian Pacific Minnesotans exists to advise the governor and the legislature on issues important to you and changes needed for your economic and social well-being, your lives. Because the Asian Pacific community is vast, made up of many different ethnicities, we have to work together. Every single ethnic group under the umbrella of this council matters. And sometimes, some voices are louder than others, but that cannot prevent us from helping and supporting and hearing the voices of all. I want to take a moment to touch on the importance of the voices of everyone, of all people, for instance those of the Muslim community in New Zealand that was terrorized the other day. Let us remember that all our communities have the same goal, to live well, love well, and be well. Terrorism is a cancerous disease in the body of humanity. It kills part of its own body. This is a dehumanizing hatred that feels it must destroy part of humanity, and that one humanity includes us and everyone. Not one group can be left out. Together we say no to dehumanization and hatred. Together we say yes to standing together in solidarity. So please take special care right here, right now, to be sure everyone is included in weaving the tapestry that makes up the Asian American experience and the larger experience. Let's lead together, because as one we are all stronger. Now I ask David Maeda, the chair of our council, to come up here to introduce our special guests whenever they arrive.
Thank you, Senator Wade. Good morning, everybody. My name is David Maeda. I am the chair of the Council on Pacific Minnesotans. I'm just going to introduce our special guest here. I recently had the unique opportunity to attend a grade school reunion, which doesn't happen a lot. And I grew up during a time with one other Asian American in my class. And I never imagined there'd be a day where Asian Americans would have 6 seats in our state legislature, would have so many important positions in our state government. Governor Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan ran on the slogan of One Minnesotan, which fits in well with our slogan today at 818. So I call up Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to your capital. On behalf of Lieutenant Governor and myself, thank you for believing in our democracy. Thank you for being part of the beautiful tapestry that's Minnesota, the One Minnesota. And you would think that in 2019, we wouldn't have to say it, but we will say it every day and reinforce it. Diversity is our strength. Together we are stronger, and that Minnesota is better for Asian and Pacific Islanders for many generations that have been here, that have strengthened us, added that wonderful diversity, added to our economy, brought to our culture that incredible diversity that we care deeply about. So we are grateful you're here. We have made it clear that One Minnesota is not just a slogan, it is in everything we do. Equity and inclusion is wound through everything we do, from education to economic opportunities to how we think about our communities and how we think about transportation in those communities. Those are all things that matter. And the one thing that we were very clear about, we know, and Lieutenant Governor and I talked often about this, making sure the people who are impacted by the decisions we make are at the table making those decisions. We know that the communities know what's best for them, and that the state's role is to be a partner, not to dictate, not to do things to the community, but to help with the communities to strengthen, to make sure your children get that quality education, to make sure that your entrepreneurs have access to capital and some of the things that make it possible to grow those businesses. So welcome. Please take this message to all of those legislators. Tell them, and David's exactly right. We have Senator Herr, and we'll have others coming up that are not just here in this building. They are leading throughout Minnesota. They are working in partnership with our office to make a difference. So thank you for being here. Thanks to the council for the work they do. And Senator Lane, thank you. In a week, we've had 2 conversations dealing with these very issues. Your leadership is greatly appreciated. So, with that,
so we're going to use this duo from now on. It's nice. Nice up here. So welcome to your house. I think that it's always really powerful when we have community members who are in the Capitol, because this truly is a place that belongs to all of us. I wanted to, in addition to Senator Herr, give a shout out to Representative Bang. Thank you so much for your leadership and for being here. And I have to say, from my time in the House and now being Lieutenant Governor, the House looks different. And it is really powerful as we start to see the changes in the legislature that we know that more accurately reflects the communities that they seek to represent. And so that's when we have good policy, is when we have leaders who reflect the community who are serving. And I can't wait to see what else happens in this session and moving forward when we have leaders who can speak on their own behalf. As the governor said, so often we make decisions without the people who are directly impacted, and we want to change that. We want to make sure that we are at the table, bringing folks to the table. But what we have learned quickly in our administration is that sometimes people don't even know where that table is located. So we need to bring the table to the community to work in partnership. So issues around education, making sure that our young people see themselves reflected and valued in their teachers and their schools is critically important to us. Making sure that we have an economy that works for everyone, and that includes making sure that we've got entrepreneurs and small business owners who are telling us what are the barriers that sometimes we put up and we don't even know because the community themselves have not been part of this conversation. So we are eager to continue those conversations with the community. And then finally, something that has come up that we need to make sure that we are lifting up is gender-based violence, and ensuring that our women in particular are seen, heard, and valued and protected. And that is also something that is critically important to us and to our administration. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the conversations that you've had already and the conversations that you will have to ensure that everyone in Minnesota has a voice. And I love this. Because we are one, we are stronger. We're going to change this a little. Because we are one Minnesota, we are stronger. So thank you for your advocacy. And I also just want to give a quick shout out to Sia Burr, who has been leading this work. So Chini Wish, many thanks for being here, and we'll see you soon.
thank you, everyone.
So thanks again to the governor and the lieutenant governor. And thank you all for being here this morning. I'm going to provide kind of a roadmap for the day ahead. You are here because you believe that the world belongs to those who show up. The first step is to be understood, is to show up. You are here for API Day 2019. During the rally, you'll hear from leaders who will speak to our shared hope that we as Minnesotans of Asian Pacific heritage work with each other in government to advance a shared agenda, and that we recognize our commonalities and differences as our strengths, not weaknesses. After the rally, most of you have signed up to attend training over in the State Office building. Both the trainings will help equip you to understand a high level of knowledge about how to affect change, both at our community and state levels. After the legislative trainings, many of you are scheduled to visit with legislators, and we'll help you with that. Our next speaker is Senator Fawn Herr. Senator Herr represents Senate District 67 in St. Paul. He was first elected to the Senate in 2012. He is currently the ranking minority member of the Agriculture, Rural Development, and Housing Policy Committee. Senator Herr.
If they make this a little bit shorter, or I don't know, is it better if I say? I used to be a tall Asian man. You know, in the 80s when I grew up, I look around my Hmong peers and I said, oh, I'm the taller Hmong guy here. But now my niece and nephew are a little taller than me. So, but welcome everyone, and ni hao, namaste, spidey. That's as much as I know in the various language. And if I miss your native tongue, I would like to learn. I would like to learn more. So welcome to your state capital. I've been encouraged by Ms. Sia Herr to tell a little bit about my Asian American story, my Asian American experience. And there's a lot of challenges that are unique to us as Asian American, but I know that today we're going to spend most time talking about that, and I don't want to go too much in detail on the issue. But I thought I'd share with you the first impression that I have about America when my family first arrived here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota in the late 1970s. It was cold, just like here now. And but one thing that our host sponsor, which is the Zion Lutheran Church, want to make us feel at home. Being that we're from a tropical country, our food ingredients is different. So Sioux Falls, South Dakota at that time don't have any Asian shop at all. So the congregation of the Zion Lutheran Church make sure that almost every Sunday they will make an announcement to the congregation saying that if anyone travel from Sioux Falls to Minneapolis, make sure you find a bottle of soy sauce to bring back to the Herr family. So even though that was 40-some years ago, I still take that to heart. And the Zion Lutheran Church may have forgotten that they have helped us in that way. I still take that to heart in welcoming our newest American, whether it's Bhutanese, Korean, or even refugee and immigrant from East Africa. And all newcomers to our state, to our country. So that's the philosophy that I live on, and I also carry on as a legislator of Minnesota. Another thing I want to share with you about, Sia also wanted me to share with you about my experience as an Asian American in the Minnesota legislature. I find it very rewarding, and I also see that my community or my Asian community see it as very rewarding as well, having someone who understands them, who shares similar culture with them to be serving this state senate. So, but I'm also thankful that we have the council here, and not just the Asian Council, but other ethnic council, the Latino Council, and the African American Heritage Council, and also the Indigenous Council as well, to provide us some support. They're the extra ears and eyes for us in case we are missing some point, and they also stand by us on a number of issues. And I'm glad that while here I have been working with the Asian Council on gender-based violence and prevention, and so I'm going to continue to be a champion on Asian issue for our state. So I'm glad that everybody's here, and that's the 2 point of my Asian American experience that I have shared with you today. So I'd like to get to know more of you, and do come by my office, or I'm going to be here with you all throughout the program and still socialize with you. I met a number of you before, and some of you are new faces to me, and I want to hear from you more. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of the day.
I feel a little bit like the host of the Oscars, where I'm just curious. Our next speaker is, I'm sure I get this right. Our next speaker is Representative Samantha Baines. Representative Baines serving her first term in the House, having been elected this past November. She is the Vice Chair of the House Property and Local Tax Division. Representative Baines.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces. Thank you. Thank you for being here today at the Capitol. Oftentimes, myself and many of the posse members and the MAP caucus members feel like we're the only person of color in the room. And it feels great to be in a room where we have a shared sense of togetherness and experiences that bind us together. Not too long ago, I was just on the other side where you are sitting right now. And let me tell you, your work matters. Let me just try to fix this too. And the work that I carry at the Capitol stems from the groundwork of you, the community that you intricately work with. Your work informs me of how, what, when, and why legislation should be enacted. Your work is where policy should be made from the ground up. We are the fastest growing group in the nation and the state, and we are among the most diverse group. It's important that we remain united and organized. We must remember that when we uplift the most vulnerable in our group, we uplift everyone. This past election, we have seen high voter turnout in the API community. We have elected the largest group of API legislators at the Capitol. No longer are we invisible from mainstream politics, but are participants of our democracy. And as chair of the Minnesota Asian Pacific Caucus, we're committed to equity, access, and participation in all levels of governance. We're working to increase visibility of issues that impact our communities, engage our communities in the legislative and civic processes, support legislation addressing language access, culturally competent services, quality education, health equity, and reliable social services. And anytime that you want to meet with MAP members, just send me a message, let me know, and I'll put you in front of us. This seat that I hold, my name is only a placeholder. It is really your seat, your place at a table, putting your concerns on the map. And if there's any questions, feel free to let me know afterwards too as well. Thank you.
I was glad to hear Representative Vang mention voting, because in my day job, I just recently got appointed as election director for the Secretary of State's office. And part of my position is really focused on making sure there are no barriers for people to vote. And I take that very seriously, so thank you for that. Our next speaker is the newest member of the Eden Prairie City Council. He was appointed in January, P.G. Narayan, and previously served on the city's Human Rights and Diversity Commission. He is the current board chair and has been involved in the Eden Prairie Community Foundation. Councilmember.
Good morning, all. First of all, I want to say thank you to inviting me here. to speak with you. First, I want to say the prayers to the people in New Zealand. This is a good example that we are not being together. You know, so let's wait for them, Steve. Let's not do things they do. Let's collaborate. Let's object to any bigotry, any discrimination, any area that we can think of. Let's treat everybody equal, even though we are different color, different nationality. A lot of ways, just us, we are different, a lot of ways. But getting together, collaborating, we can be a force. So I just want to give that message. So, Sia also asked me to give me my story. So my name is PG Narayan, it's pronounced Narayan, and I'm one of the city council members from Eden Prairie. I happen to be the first Asian in Eden Prairie being city council. If I can be, any one of you can be as well. So one of the messages to all of us is to engage in the civic duties. Be part of your city, be part of your community, be part of your organization, and that's very important. Also, I'm happy to be the second non-white in the history of Eden Prairie being city council. To me, that's not a small thing. It's a huge burden or responsibility. I have to make sure that I lead properly, I educate our kids. It's a role model for our other people to do that. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. This is a lot to do with leading together or collaborating. The reason I'm standing here is not because of me, because the people around me helped me to get here. So, I came from India in 1972, 46 years ago. I was 18 years old. Yeah, because if you're math good at it, I'm 65 in April. Send me the birthday gift cards. And I could not speak a word of English. Just many of us came to this country. I didn't have just 10th grade education. I didn't have any money. And like you were saying, I stayed in the attic of an American family, a place called Gardner, Massachusetts. And I'm the only person in that city in non-white. But they treat me really well. I didn't have any bad experience, so I cannot tell you bad stories. Sorry about that. And my first job was, some of you heard, before I know a couple of my friends sitting here, heard this, my first job was working in a Chinese restaurant washing dishes. You know why I took the job? I love Chinese food. I used to get free Chinese food. Right? I used to make $1.50 an hour. Right? That's my first beginning of a job. And fortunately, I am half smart and a lot of people helped me out. Able to get an education, went to community college, I went to bachelor's degree, I got a master's in electrical engineering, and I put all that to myself. I minimum work 30 hours. And all of us who's immigrant, who's Asian residents, you know that we work very hard. We work all the time. Only thing we get, three things: work, children, family. Or family, children, work. We just go around. That's it. Our big thing, right? So that's what I did. I worked 30 hours. And fortunately, I got anyway, I can extend 1 minute there. No, just kidding. But anyway, I really had a good career. Again, with the collaboration with other people. I able to, at the age of 35, I was VP of a $1 billion company. 10 years, I graduated 25, and 10 years I did. And again, it's not me. The message I can tell everybody is collaborate. Be friends with everybody. Right? Do something for them, then they will do something for you when the time needed. Right? For us, very important, the Asian community, is we collaborate. Even though when we don't need something, let's work with the legislators. Right? And then when you need something, they will work with you. Right? Proactive, work with them. I had a lot of jobs. I came to Minnesota running a company called ADC Telecommunication. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. I was responsible for all the technology. And then I actually ran the Minute, centralized IT. Most of the part of the Minute, I was responsible for it, all the infrastructure part. I had one time like $150 million budget, 400 plus people reporting to me. Again, I was not planning to run an election in my life, never. I was more like a businessman, technologist, an executive, and a volunteer. And then what happened is, people saw that, came to me and said, would you run for the election? We have 2 openings. See, that's what happened. Engage. Don't sit back. If you have time, don't watch that TV all the time. Watch a little bit. They're good ones. Don't all the time. Engage with the community. Okay? So, guess what? It was a very painful process. And it's surprising, I got 10,374 votes. I'll never forget that number. From nothing. From Eden Prairie. That was awesome. And I got appointed. I came third. I was 300 votes short of the second place. And I got appointed. Right? It was a great privilege. So, I just want to talk about a little bit of the Asian community, my view. We are one of the top entrepreneurs. We create jobs. Let's educate our legislators that we do create jobs. We have less violence in our community than other communities. We take less resources from the government than many other communities. We are not the complainers. Very seldom, even if we have some issues, we don't like to go and talk to a lot of people. Please. We work hard to educate. Most of us are kids educated and getting more resources. We contribute a lot to our community and our country. We pay a lot of taxes. We are one of the, as an Asian group, we are one of the highest household income. I know our stock exchange is not all alike, but there is a different disparity in there. That's the reason we have to live together. That's the reason we have to collaborate, because we are not all alike. We have some people have and some people don't have. Let's help each other to make that thing work. Okay? So, I want to get to the bottom of it, because I'm running out of time. So to me, I want to personalize what leading together means to me. Help one another. Celebrate our success. We don't do that. Asians, sometimes we don't celebrate. Celebrate, tell people, or ask somebody else to tell other people. Encourage each other. It's not always we are high. Some people are low. So encourage them to bring them up together. Bring them all together. Let's collaborate when we talk to the legislators. Don't go just one-to-one. As a community, go talk to them. You have more power. So unify as a community, then go talk to them. The other aspect is important, that other community. Let's not be selfish ourselves. Because if we start helping others.
Speaker, some of you might know when we get a new governor, one of the first important decisions that person has to make is to decide who's going to head each of the state departments. Commissioner Rebecca Lutero was appointed to head the Department of Human Rights, which is a department that our council works very closely with and collaborates with. So we're very excited to have her here. Commissioner Lutero was appointed by Governor Walz in January. She has extensive policy, legal, and nonprofit leadership experience, including her work as a public policy director at the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits, as well as the Twin Cities Habitat Command. Commissioner Lutero.
Good morning, everyone. Yes. Okay, I have never been this tall in my life, and this is a common theme that everyone's talking about. They come here, but that's because this is amazing. So, I also just want to reference how beautiful it is to be surrounded by people of color. I will echo how sometimes it can feel a little bit lonely, and seeing so many diverse, beautiful people here makes me feel really happy. I'm Chana, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. So just out of curiosity, how many people have ever been here before? Oh, so there's a lot of first-time people here. Thank you, everyone, for being here for the first time. And how many of you ever met with legislators? Okay, and so there's a lot of people getting back to meet new people meeting with legislators today, which is awesome because we've heard it over and over again, but this really is our house and we belong here. And I cannot stress how important that is. So I just want to tell you a little bit about where I work at, the Department of Human Rights. So our goal is to just really make sure that everyone can lead a life full of joy and dignity. And we do that work through the Minnesota Human Rights Act, and that has been in place for over 50 years. So it is integral and built into the very fabric of Minnesota here. There are many ways that we do this work, including partnering with employers to make sure that they're leading forward with an equitable and inclusive workforce. But one way that I really want to make sure that people are aware of has to do with the individual investigations that we will do for Minnesotans who feel like they've been discriminated against in the workplace, in their place, like maybe their landlord-tenant situation, or in public. And so if you feel like you've been treated differently for any reason, please let us know. We want to make sure that we're part of the solution and are there to support everyone. And so you can get in touch with our office at any point. I think that's particularly important because, as was mentioned, there is an increase in hate crimes, there is an increase of violence, there is an increase of discrimination. And so the work that we're doing here together to step up and say, no, we're actually leading together, that we're stronger as one, is so important. So just so you know, at the federal level right now, they are investigating 40% fewer charges of discrimination than they were during the same time under the last president. And so that means it's really important that from the ground we're speaking together. So our agency is here in partnership with you every single day, and we're excited to keep doing this work. All of us bring so much strength and beauty to this process, and really want to thank you and appreciate you for being here today. I also just want to thank SIA and the Asia Pacific and Minnesota. It's just such an incredibly important partnership, and I really want to thank you for lifting up this partnership today. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Have fun meeting with legislators.
We're going to hear from our council's executive director, Sia Kerr. Sia?
Is it still morning? I've been up for a really long time, so it feels like it's afternoon already. But good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your own very busy schedules to be here on what is called API Day at the Capitol. I'm the executive director at the State Council on Asia Pacific Minnesotans. This is my 6th year into my tenure as executive director, and it's been a wonderful experience, particularly on days like this when I'm looking out at a sea of faces that inspired the creation of the Council in 1985, 10 years after the fall of Southeast Asia, or Saigon to communism, and we started to see an influx of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, or Southeast Asians specifically. And so it's, with that historical context in mind that, my staff and I and the members of our board are here before you, and it's the spirit that guides us every day as we go about working on your behalf within state government. And so our purpose is written into state law, and our purpose is that we advise the governor and the legislature on your behalf. Our mission, as stated by our board, and you should have a mission document in the folders if you picked up one, that speaks to the work that we do. And the vision, according to the board, is that the Council on Asia Pacific Minnesotans will work toward economic, social, legal, and political equality for Minnesotans, including all of you in this audience. And so, you may be asking yourself, well, what kind of work does the Council on Asia Pacific Minnesotans do? Well, we advocate on bills that we think will positively impact our community. And when there are bills that we think will hurt the community, we advise legislators in front of committees and behind closed doors to not vote in support of that bill. And so from data disaggregation, defined as the breakdown of large data categories into more specific subcategories, to gender-based violence, which the Lieutenant Governor mentioned earlier, which is defined as an act committed against an individual against his or her will. Our team works tirelessly on behalf of all of you. And I want to just say that all of you is more than just those of you here in this office. The API community in the state of Minnesota is estimated to be 300,000 strong. So just think about that, and the fact that the council represents this community that is descended from more than 40 nations. And so countries that you may never have thought about, fall under our umbrella as countries of Asian Pacific heritage. And so, I'll be the first and the last one to say to all of you that we as a community have much to celebrate, such as our cultures, the challenges that we have overcome as refugees and immigrants, and our accomplishments in America as Americans and Minnesotans. At almost every turn, our council, in the name of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, speaks to the triumphant moments of this community of contrast. But I will tell you also that we always keep our eyes on the one shared characteristic of this community, and that's that we as a community are largely absent from the lawmaking process at the state level for a number of reasons, right? Many of us may feel that we don't speak English well enough to participate. Many of us may have had negative experiences with government in our native countries. Many of us may have experienced discrimination at the hands of our neighbors who don't look like us, and so we feel that we may not be welcome in a house such as this, that is the people's house. But I'll tell you again, and many of you whom I've talked with numerous times before today have heard me say this, that the act of creating laws at the state level impacts every dimension of our lives as Americans and as Minnesotans, from the very quality of the air we breathe, to our children's performance in education, to our families' access to housing, and to the resources available to domestic violence victims and survivors. Policymakers are making decisions for us, about us, regardless of whether we want to participate or not. So one of the many things I hope all of you will take away from API Day today and share with your loved ones and your friends, if nothing else, is this. We, as the Asian American and Pacific Islanders community here in the state of Minnesota, we cannot expect different results if we continue to do things the way we have always done them. And when it comes to the area of creating public policies, what I mean is that if you in the audience today, and your friends and your loved ones and your family members, if you and if all of us believe that our realities as Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have not been woven into the state's equity efforts, then we, meaning all of you and our council together and everyone at home, we must show up. And if we need to make sacrifices, we need to make those sacrifices, because if we're not speaking up for ourselves, then who is and who will? We cannot stand on the sideline anymore and expect that lawmakers will just simply know who we are, where we have been, the challenges that we have overcome, and our hopes and dreams. We can no longer sit at home or in our offices and expect lawmakers to make decisions that reflect our hopes and our dreams when we are not standing there by their side doing the work with them. And that's a responsibility of ours, right? And it's a privilege. And so as Executive Director of the Council on Asian Pacific Minnesotans, I'm probably coming off sounding as if I'm lecturing all of you, but it's because my team and I are walking the halls of this building, this Capitol campus, every single day. And it's a very special day when we see as many faces as we do right now, of community members who look like us, right? And so, please do your part, right? Help to educate everyone in the community, help to advocate, and help to mobilize community members. We at the council, and I pledge to all of you, we at the council remain committed to doing our job and to do so increasingly better in the months and in the years to come. And of course, again, our job is to advise the governor and the legislature on behalf of all of you and members at home and across the state. Thank you so much for your time today, and please don't be a stranger to the Council on Aging Pacific Minnesotans. We were created in 1985 in the name of the people, and we're here. There is no other state across the nation like the Council on Aging Pacific Minnesotans. And so I ask all of you to take advantage of the fact that in the great state of Minnesota, there is such an agency created in your name and in your face. And should you ever have any questions about how to engage, when to engage, and with whom to engage, you know how to reach the Council on Aging Pacific Minnesotans, beginning with myself as Executive Director. And so I'll end on that and just thank several legislators that were here this morning whom we haven't had an opportunity to thank. So I saw Senator Crack, who sits on our board as one of the 4 legislative members, and I saw Representative Liebling. And so I'll just name those 2, and I know that we have many esteemed members of the community sitting in the audience this morning, including Judge Adam Yang of Ramsey County. Thank you to all of you. I know who each and every single one of you are, and I know that you have very busy schedules, but the fact that you're here says so much about your mission and your vision for our Pan-Asian community, and so thank you so much. Next, for many of you, who are sitting at a chair with a sign, can you just hold it up? All right, this is a photo opportunity for all of us, right? I've asked our photographer, Andrew Shum, to stand right up there and to get a photo of us while we're all here. So let's get these photos taken, Andrew, and then I'm going to tell the members of the community who are registered for trainings where they need to go next. All right, so hold up the sign if you happen to find the seat to the sign, right? All right. I see the council member and senator who are looking for signs. So, all right, Andrew, all right. So thank you so much.